We are currently recording. Can everybody see what's on screen? Okay, perfect. All right.
Before you start, can you also share with everyone how they can get access?
Yes. I have shared this PDF of the presentation with your council member, so you can reach out to her to get the full slide deck from the presentation. Also, the concept that we're going to talk about today is posted online at the Nashville traffic calming website, or the NDOT traffic calming website, so you can go over and look at in detail exactly what we've talked about. And then at the end of the presentation, I will actually give out my own email and then the email of the NDOT traffic calming team if you have any further questions. So everything's available online, including the recording and the plans. And then if you have any further questions, you will, by the end of this presentation, have not only my email, but also the NDOT traffic calming official email for anything further. So once again, for the recording, my name is Harrison Turner. I am a consultant that works for the Nashville Department of Transportation. This is the traffic calming, our neighborhood street traffic calming program meeting number 2 for Priest Lake Drive on August 27th at 6:30-ish at the Smith Springs Community Center, and also streamed online. We do have WebEx that my colleague Ellie is monitoring. So if you have any questions online, please put them in the chat and Ellie will notify me as we go along. For everybody in the room, we'll go through a couple of slides and then pause for questions and then continue on. So just kind of give a big overview, kind of what is traffic calming in general. So the neighborhood street traffic calming program focuses on residential streets. We're not trying to touch highways or anything like that. And we really focus on physical solutions that encourage lower speeds, because we're trying to make the streets slower and safer for everybody involved. Really focusing on things that we know reduce speed and have a real big impact. So the way we do that is through the 3 E's. The first E is education. That's things like public outreach, just kind of getting people aware of how speed actually endangers lives. The second E is through enforcement. That is with our great partners, the Metro Nashville Police Department. So they handle that E. That is not technically part of what we're doing. That is with MNPD, but it is a great one of the 3 characteristics or 3 E's that we rely on. And the third E, which is near and dear to my heart as a traffic engineer, is the actual engineering. It's what we can do when we design the road or retrofit the road to actually really encourage physical devices to lower those speeds to try to make it safer for all of the users. And once again, the reason we do this is safety and vision zero. So that is the vision that there will be 0 deaths on our roadways. That's the end goal. We want to make sure that everybody that uses the streets in Metro Nashville walks away no matter what happens, and we have 0 deaths. The reason we focus on speeds is because there is a direct correlation between speeds and what happens if a pedestrian does get hit. So at 45 miles per hour, if a pedestrian does have an incident, they only have a 35% chance of walking away and surviving that incident. We can get that speeds down to that 20, 25 mile an hour range. That chance of our survival goes way up to about 89% at 25 miles an hour. So that's really a direct correlation. Slower speeds is a safer street. This is a very popular program. We have applications all across Davidson County. So y'all are part of the August 2023 selection. The summer 2023, there were 85 streets. We were able to do a few more than normal. So it's been a very busy time for us. And like I said, it's very popular. We have over 500 applications on file as of that selection cycle. So there's 500 different streets across Davidson County, and y'all were both lucky and unlucky enough to get selected as part of the 85. So anything outside of the traffic calming program, please use Hub Nashville. It's a fantastic device. You can do that by calling 311. You can go to hub.Nashville.gov. You can submit it on the app. I personally have used Hub Nashville to fix the sidewalk that was in front of my house. It was broken and crumbled, and I put it in the hub, and they sent a crew out there and fixed it. So if you have anything that's outside of the traffic calming program that you want NDOT or Metro Water or any other metropolitan government agency to look at, please put it in the hub. It'll get directed to the right person. I can guarantee that because I have received a lot of those. And also put several in. Okay, so going into Priest Lake Drive, I'm sure all of you are aware Priest Lake Drive is the road that's highlighted in yellow. It runs kind of through the peninsula. Pretty long stretch. This is pretty long for a traffic calming project. But I do believe it is, once again, it's great and also kind of disappointing that we're able to pick this road just because of the characteristics. And the reason we're picking it is we went over this in the first presentation, but we base our matrix on speed and volume. So Priest Lake Drive has a fairly high speed and a fairly high volume, which of course means that we was selected for traffic calming measures.
Question.
Yes.
How did you determine that? Because I never saw where there were any like speed little things that you run over to see how many cars go over or how fast they're going. We never saw any of that on our street. So how did you determine that besides maybe people saying there's people speeding down our street?
I can probably end up giving that. I should do it. And I'm right there, at the freeway, one at the stop sign. I had to work third shift, so I'm late, and all the traffic is zooming by. Amount of cars that go flying down one road is an understatement. And that right there, the top or anybody who's just driving by, first words, what the heck, why don't we just listen here, stop it? The Logan watch probably about, I've been here for about 5-6 months now. I've probably watched over 100 cars, 50 different motorcycles, most of them, some of them are cruisers, and well, I know there's on the spot, and it keeps me awake. And now cars that drive flying in, that's an easy way. Somebody like, hey, you just be driving, just checking it out, and sit there for 5 minutes, you don't hear it all.
So in a
37, 36.
So in addition to that, sorry, go ahead. So in addition to that, we do for all of those 500 applications, we go through and sort which streets are eligible, which are neighborhood streets. And then we go and do collect all of that data on those streets. In presentation 1, we did actually go through what the speed we collected was, what the volume was. I'm not sure if we have that data in this presentation or not, but I can definitely pull it up. So we did actually collect the data with traffic collection for all of the streets that are applied to and eligible. So there's a prioritization matrix that we use using hard data to actually collect and make sure that we're spending the NDOT's dollars and budgeting on the streets that need it most. Yes.
Let me clarify something, sir, if you would.
Yes.
As it relates to this presentation right here, questions. Is it when you have a question is to ask, or is there a time set aside for questions? So, I mean, I don't want to sit here, wanting to ask a question and, your topic has went to the next slide. So I'm just want to see, is there a time for question and answer or what?
So we do have a time at the end for questions, but I'm a very conversational type person. I don't like just to sit and talk. So if you have a question that relates to the slide, stop me and we'll gladly talk about it while it's on screen. And like I said, at the end, we can always go back and I'll flip through the slides to talk about whatever y'all want to talk about and answer questions that y'all have after the end of the presentation. And there will be a couple of things where I'll say, hey, the next couple of slides will answer that for you. But if you have anything that you're like, hey, that slide makes me think of this, just feel free to stop me and we can talk about it, or I can say, hey.
Well, what about the 3 E's?
Yes.
So I had a question about the 3 E's. I know we got education up here, and as it relates to enforcement, the working with Metro.
Correct.
What are we trying to do to get officers in the neighborhood to be a present? I mean, education kind of speaks for itself, and as it relates. Now, I've been down streets with the cushions on, and I have seen vehicles just shoot right over them at the same time that they are supposed to slow your speed down. So I'm almost certain that a physical officer that's, I know Metro claim to be short all the time, but a physical officer making some type of presence, in our neighborhood, to definitely deter speedsters. I stay on Priest Lake Drive, and I'm just saying the speed there is just ridiculous. And I think that I don't want to derail the presentation, but the 3 E's had me focus on the enforcement because, I rarely see police officers in our neighborhood.
Yeah, that's a fantastic question. So from this presentation standpoint, this presentation will be considered part of the education piece. And then as a traffic engineer, I can handle the engineering piece.
Mhm.
The enforcement is with the Metro Nashville Police Department. So the best way to get them would be to either talk with your council member or to put the request in Hub Nashville and say, hey, we need it on Priest Lake Drive. Unfortunately, because I am a traffic engineer and not a police officer, there's nothing we can do. That being said, they've been a great partners with us on the enforcement
I
side.
can just add that, when it comes to the enforcement piece,
Mhm.
we actually are, I know you're recording this, but it's not public information, but if you can just email me if there is a time frame when like speeders are coming through,
Mhm.
you reach out to, NDOT and they can have like an officer with a speed trap.
Okay.
They're in that window to try to catch those people if they can have speed in that vehicle. There's not, someone leading the officer.
Exactly.
But there's different speed traps that we have been able to set up. We, meaning me and the resident,
Mhm.
and especially on Edge of Lake, in that area, because I feel, well, Edge of Lake is their speed bumps, but, so people would take side streets
Mhm.
to mature those speed bumps. We were able to get officers out there to track them and stop. So the beauty is on our side when it comes to.
Great.
They've been great partners. Unfortunately, that is
Okay, sure will. Mhm.
awesome. And I think, did you have a question, sir? Or would you?
Well, I don't know, but I have to understand the same thought about enforcement. Enforcement, bringing up here, should eat.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's kind of weird to me to talk about enforcement. And I don't think anyone in this room can do anything about it. So it's kind of.
Yeah, so your council member, Ms. Councilmember Ellis, actually, like she said, can set that up.
Mhm.
So, and really this is kind of highlighting traffic calming as an overview of the program in general. So we start really broad with what is traffic calming as a whole, and then we narrow it down to what we're doing for your street. So that's why we bring it up, because traffic calming does have a major component that is the enforcement piece. As a traffic engineer, we handle the engineering, and then we let the officers handle the enforcement side. Yes.
I'm still a little unclear as to how you determine that there was a speed problem.
Yes. So those 500 applications, we went out and took counts on all of those streets. No. We actually counted the vehicles. We have a sub-consultant that goes out, and that's what they do, is they count cars. And they tell us on this street at these locations, we had this many vehicles, they were going this fast. So we have that data for all of these streets, and then we throw that into a prioritization matrix that says if they go this fast, it's this percent. They go this many cars, it's this percent. If you're near like a school or a church or something like that, that would be a pedestrian generator, so people would be walking more. That's worth X amount. And there is a whole matrix that is covered in the first meeting, which I do understand that there was some mailing issues, so not a ton of you were able to attend. I can gladly, after this is over, pull that up and go over that with you.
Well, could you use it online or we can go and look at it?
Yes, absolutely. So that recording is online. It's on the NDOT Traffic Calming website. You go down to watch recordings, and it takes you to a YouTube page for Nashville Department of Transportation, and you just scroll down until you hit Priest Lake Drive. I do apologize. You'll hear me talking again, so you have to deal with that. But there is there, and then like I said, happy to after this presentation's over, I can go back and pull the file, and then we can see exactly what the stats were, if that's something we want to do. So moving forward into the traffic calming measures for Priest Lake Drive. Yes.
Sorry to keep interrupting.
Absolutely.
Just for those that weren't at the first meeting, go into recommendations. Can you sort of preface what the process looks like?
Yeah, we can go. So what I'll do is I'll skip the recommendations, go straight to the voting, and then we can go back to the recommendations. So I'll skip through all of that. All right, so we're going here. So this is a little bit blurry on screen, but this is the process for the traffic calming program. So it starts with the application. There are 2 cycles per year, a winter and a summer. Y'all were selected in summer of 2023. Once that happens, you have the data collection and prioritization. That's what I was talking about, where we send out the crews. They go count the cars, either with the tubes or with cameras or whatever device they use. Give us that hard data that says there's this many vehicles at this speed. We use that to prioritize those streets, and in summer 2023, we were able to pick 85, which is fantastic. From there, we do a neighborhood meeting, which was the one we had back in the winter. That would be meeting one, where we give kind of an overview, more broad idea of what the traffic calming program is, kind of an idea of what we think is going to happen. Just looking at the street, looking at the numbers, saying, hey, we think this is the best solution. What do y'all think? And that's a good point for the community to take recommendations and say, hey, we want this, we like this, we don't like this, and then we can take that back. So that's when we do design. We take those recommendations, we still look at the numbers, we still look at our engineering judgment, we combine the recommendations, some of them we can input, some of them we can't. But we do go through and design what we believe to be a safe, calm street. From that point on, we go to the second neighborhood meeting. There is an option for some communities that just say, whatever y'all do is good, we're good with it, to skip this and go straight to the construction. But your community wanted to have a second meeting, so that's where we are. That is where we go through the design in more detail. We've gone out in the field, we've placed all the traffic calming measures. We know, all right, this is where they're going to go, this is why, and everything is fully flushed out. So we present that to you and talk about it, and we say, hey, this is what we think is best. Are there any final comments, questions, things we need to look at? From that point, we go into an online ballot. So that is where we send you out mailers, very similar to ones that you got to come to this meeting, and you get to vote yes or no. So if you don't like it, you can vote no. If you love it and say this is a great thing for our community, you can vote yes. The way it works is we need 66% of people that vote for it to be constructed. So if there's a 50-50 split, it's not getting built. If there is 70% for it, 30 against it, that's enough for us to trigger, yes, this is going to construction. And that is of people that vote. So it's not the total number of houses on the street, it's people that actually send in or actually submit the vote online. There is a call-in option if you're not comfortable going online. And we have a little code that makes sure that people aren't double voting. So assuming it does pass with a 66% vote, then it goes to construction. Like I said, it's a very popular program. We've got a lot of these streets that are in construction. So it is a little bit of a timeline. We're seeing around 8-ish months from when a vote passes to actually getting the street constructed with the traffic calming measures. So it is a very popular program. We do have limited resources as far as people that can do the work. So there is a kind of a queue. But that is the current construction time frame is about 8 months to get to construction. So that is how the program works. Like I said, we're at second neighborhood meeting, which is there in the red. And then this is what the ballot looks like. So very similar to the mailer, there's that unique ID code up in the top left. You can see it. It's the bottom right of the top left. But each individual house has that. So the voting is open for 6 weeks. You can vote yes, no, and those are for homeowners and for churches and schools. So yeah, residential properties, churches and schools, they all get one vote. And it's only properties that are directly affected by the street. So if you live on Priest Lake Drive, you get a vote. If you do not live on Priest Lake Drive, you do not get a vote. So we want people, this is for people that work, play, and live in those streets. So they're the ones most directly affected by the speeding in front of their houses.
I can't go to. I'm from Harrison, it's like I live on Highway 20. I'm the second house in the fourth. I don't understand why I can't have.
Yeah. So once again, it's for the people that live and play on the street that people are driving really fast on. So if you have like your kids or you or your dog or whatever in the front yard, you're more likely to be in an accident with a vehicle than somebody that lives off the street. So it's about slowing down the street for the people that live directly on the street.
But you're slowing, but your traffic calming procedure is going to correctly affect.
That is correct if you live off the street.
Why are you punishing me? Really try to do the full time because I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
So why are you punishing me when there's 15 and 20 cars in the morning? So like you said, it's 2 owners.
Yeah, that's a great question. We get it all the time. Like I said, our program, which has been run for several years, with this same directive, is that we only pull our ballot people that live directly on the street because they're the ones that live, play, work on that street, and they're the ones most likely to be in an accident. Therefore, we're trying to make it safer for them, so they're the ones that get the vote.
But they're not tribal.
Yes,
And
yes.
the meeting is-
That is so unfortunately that's not something we can change at this point. So that's kind of how the program's been run. And once again, it's for the safety of the people on the street. Gentleman in the hat, I saw that your hand was raised. Oh, sorry. Yes. Yes.
But we have so many little, there's so many little holes that people must access their own. Why do you think we said right? What do you put out? Therefore, I think that they should have. They should have. When it comes to this, because they have to.
Yeah, that's
Right, I mean, to her point, they have to come down the road and hold something. I don't know why.
yeah.
It's a little different style.
So yeah, completely.
Yes. Road is when it's done to the road, doesn't. But reason that stuff is done to the road doesn't affect. Meaning all the people that are flying down that road like crazy, the people that are actually on that road are the ones that are actually having to deal with it 24/7. Right, now we're private. Does not affect. The people on Free Slate Drive, we want to sit on our board. We want to persons flying out of the game. They're in. That's actually better. People that are actually on the board. Not the ones that decided that. They're the ones that decided that, due to the fact that those is actually directly. Those that are on, but not, it's actually direct with little side. So,
Yeah.
I agree.
So
Yeah, so if, let's say somebody's flying down that thing at 70 miles an hour and into the control. You're in the, but here's the thing, but they're not. Not directly on that road. But whose house? House.
so yeah.
This is the way that the program is designed. And so I will have to take that back to Deanna, who's our NDOT director, let her know the concern, you all, the law, and the actual program.
I
So-
understand those that have been,
There are multiple.
that have lived there for a long time. Good. Cul-de-sac.
Oh, wow.
Alright.
So that's, but if you've been on the road, lived there for a while, I would still say it's not.
So just
Nothing wrong.
going back to what the council member said, this is how the program has been run for quite a while. That's important. That's not something that I can change at this point. That's just how the program is done. Please speak with your council member if you believe the program needs to be tailored to fit different scenarios. We have seen this scenario before. Like I said, we are focused on the people that live, work, and play on the street, and that's why it is. But yes, if you have any questions about how the program itself is run, please talk to your council member. But that is how it is run currently. Yes.
I think certainly that when most people play. According to How do you do? So here I am. Not because you didn't do it, like things like that, all the way along. So everyone, always. You can feel it out. Yep. So, I think, it's, that you need it. You need to be there, so. Maybe we should have a vote.
Yeah.
Music. Okay. Then it's back to the first way, we don't need it. Okay. 90% of the traffic has to come down pretty slow.
So that's probably why Priest Lake Drive got selected. The volume was up so high because everybody has to use it. But yeah, so like I said, that is something as far as the balloting zone and everything. That is something from the program that I can't change at this point. If you have any issues with that or any comments or recommendations, please talk to your council member so that she can relay it through the proper channels. We have been using the same program very successfully over several years now. So it has installed several traffic calming measurements across Davidson County. It is very popular. But this is something that we do here quite often. Yes, sir.
Into a special place. And we told him it was very less weak. So.
Yeah.
I told him that, you know, situation. The nature is a full-fledged situation for these other neighborhoods in the state.
Yeah, there are.
They're all that, they're all people, in all streets, okay? And when you make mention, and there's one, that was a main street, we had to go down East Lake. I'm going to let them know, this Friday, it's on the end. Okay, then I had to, you know, like I said, there's no one in here, there's no conflict.
Yeah.
And when we said one street, that we play in, what, we have the right to say, it's like.
Yeah. So. Yeah. So I understand. Yeah. I understand completely. I do understand peninsulas would have certain geographical constraints that make roadway networks very difficult to maintain. But yes, the policy is the policy. Unfortunately, there's nothing we can do about that in this room. This is the program, kind of how it's been run. So if you do have any questions, like I said, please talk to your council member, and she can work that out with NDOT. But moving forward, because with what we've got, so this is the last slide before we go back to the design. Yes. So I did promise y'all my contact information. So I am Harrison Turner. My email is harrison.turner@kimley-warren.com. And then NDOT TrafficCalming.Nashville.gov is the best place to send all of your questions. But you can also send them to me. harrison.turner@kimley-horn.com. And if you can't find it here, my email is all over the internet at this point. So
Send it to me.
yeah, you can also talk, me and your council member talk. So you can send anything to your council member and she can take care of it. So that's how the program is run. That's how the voting works. I will want to mention again, at the end of this process, you do get a vote. If you live on Priest Lake Drive, and we need 66% of the votes to be yes, to actually institute the measures. So I'm going to go through what we have proposed. Once again, looking at it from a traffic engineering perspective, what we know works to slow down speeds, and then taking in the advice from the first meeting. So I'm going to go through that now, and then we'll go through everything in detail. So traffic calming measures that are recommended for Priest Lake Drive. So the first one, I know we've talked about it a lot, is that speed cushion. They are 3 inches high. They're 6 feet in width. We can vary the length 7, 10.5, or 14. I will say I do have them in front of my house. My own street personally is part of the program. We got them installed several months ago, and I do think it has helped slow down the vehicles in front of my home. That is Harrison as a citizen of Metro Nashville, not Harrison, the traffic engineer. They are rubber, so they do have a good bit of give. They are a cushion, not necessarily a bump or a table. So if you go over them at a safe speed, you can go over them and not have too much of an issue. And the reason we use the cushions is because they have limited impact to emergency vehicles. Emergency vehicles have wider wheelbases that let them straddle the cushions a little bit easier. So that way, if there is an emergency, they can still get to where they need to go. But for regular people in regular passenger cars, they are affected. I drive a fairly large SUV and I have to at least have one wheel on the cushion. Yes, sir.
Person that actually drives a motorcycle and curb and a biker right up there. I'm one of those people that look at those things. I'm more of a one, sorry.
Yeah.
I'm go right in the middle, and like, okay, a little bit, plus with how wide the road is, how big our bicycle lanes are, those bicycles.
Yeah. So we are, yeah.
It doesn't do that right there won't affect everyone's at all.
Oh. Without the rocks.
Mhm.
Anderson training by the pole in the head. Okay. Easy. Okay. They have the same stuff. You get in that way. It's like a $100 parking. All the way around the like the parking lot. I'll never get around there in 2 hours. So when you come down the street there, and it's no street.
Yeah.
That's it. So then they mandate the county police.
Yeah.
I'm on the street. Okay, then you can afford. They have to come.
That is a good point. The Corps does own the lake. But this is Priest Lake Drive, which is a neighborhood street owned by NDOT. So yeah. Yeah.
So when you have a road here that leads to this line, when it leads to right. They have a car which you turn left. Doing that, while you drive, you notice. Having to speak. I'm always up going down this road.
Yeah, so Anderson Road is a different street completely. This is Priest Lake Drive, which is an NDOT neighborhood street, so it is eligible for the program. Yes.
That's why it was moved up ahead.
Yes, question.
I'm sorry, y'all. My question is the material and the durability of those speed cushions, as it relates to in the wintertime, ice, whatever they treat, we live on Priest Lake, whatever they, treat our street with, by the time they don't. With how does that affect those speed cushions? And we're from Detroit.
I know what salt does.
Yeah.
Okay, so in the event that the cushions are deteriorated due to weather conditions, how often will someone come out and assess it and replace it? You know, how does all that work?
Those are absolutely fantastic questions.
Right.
Yeah, those are absolutely fantastic questions, and those have been the topic. We have an internal team that reviews these designs and talks about issues with the program. And that is a big topic of what we talked about, is how they were handled in the winter. So they are, like I said, a modular rubberized device. They come in little pieces that you can put together. And we have regular coordination with NDOT's maintenance group and NDOT's operations as far as the snowplow crew. So they know exactly where they are. We have a big GIS map that shows what we got, and we are constantly in contact with the NDOT operations side as far as that goes. And then as far as the winter goes, they're hard rubber. They do have some give to them, but they are good to stand through the winters of Tennessee.
So Harrison, real quick, so, and also there's a hub request for that as well. But so some folks have some time constraints, and I just wanted to push our questions to the end. So I really want you all to see the recommendations that Harrison has put together for us. So if you could just save us a couple minutes at the end, and if you guys could just hold your questions and comments until we get through this.
Thank you, Councilmember. Yeah, all right. So we'll run through it all, and that'll kind of hopefully answer a couple questions, and then we can go back at the end for people that still have it, and that way everybody has at least seen it.
I just want to know, is what you're fixing to show us, are these components of the program?
Yes.
Or are you actually starting to present your revised program?
So these are pieces of the revised program. So we're gonna go.
I'm pretty sure we all said no to these.
Yeah, so we'll get to that when we get to the thing.
So I was curious.
Yeah. So, and the reason we picked these, and this is really the magic number here. So these have an effect, and they do actually slow speeds. So this is actual data from Metro Streets. The before average speed before cushions was 31 miles an hour. The average speed after cushions was 22. Talking about saving lives by getting that down to where if a pedestrian does get hit, they do get to walk away. And that's the end goal of the program. The 85th percentile speed, which is the speed that engineers care about, it's kind of what we designed to. The average speed or the 85th percentile speed for these streets we studied was 37 miles per hour. We were able to get that down to 25. So what that means is 85% of cars were going at 25 miles an hour or less after the installation of speed cushions. So that creates a really good, nice, safe environment. Like I said, I do have them on my street, and it has slowed vehicles down. So we do know these work. That's why we like them. And that's why we really try to use these when we can. It's kind of the bread and butter of the program. One other thing we do use is the radar feedback signs. So they have an average speed reduction of 6 miles an hour, and an 85th percentile speed, they drop that by about 7 miles per hour. We do use these on occasions, particularly where we have geometric constraints, sharp curves, steep hills, that sort of thing, where we can't use cushions. We like to use a radar feedback sign. They help act as a reminder that, hey, you're speeding, you need to slow down. We do like to use the cushions where we can instead of the feedback signs, just because they're a physical device, but it is a good replacement when we can't use it due to geometric constraints. So here is the current plan, kind of on an overview. I will mention once again, Priest Lake Drive is a very long street, so that's why it looks more than you would think. So as originally was mentioned, we were able to knock down to where I think we had 10 or 11 originally proposed. We were able to relook at the spacing based on the advice from the first meeting, where we said, hey, we're not a fan of these. But hey, what can we do as far as spacing goes? Try to limit the amount, but still make it safe, because there are basically distances where after you space them so much, they're less effective because people can speed up between them. So we try to target that 350 to 500 foot between cushions. So we pushed it closer to that 500 foot. We're able to get rid of a cushion or two, instituted a radar feedback sign instead at one location because there's a hill when you turn off Anderson Road. So we were able to kind of reduce the cushions a little bit, still making it safe, still trying to hit the margins where they are effective, but reducing the amount.
So how many will it be?
So we are currently proposing 9. So we were able to drop that
So
down
you
by,
took two off.
yeah, we were able to drop that down by 2 sets and still meet the spacing requirements. So going through the individual locations, I'll just highlight the addresses real quick. So we make sure that we're not putting them in front of driveways. We make sure that, you're able to back out, move in, not have to run over a cushion every time. So we try to keep a good spacing. So the first one is 65 foot south of the driveway at 387. Then the next one would be 75 foot north of the driveway at 384,
Okay,
or 3843.
what was the first number, please?
65 foot south of 3875. And then, sorry, I read that completely wrong. And then 75 foot north of the driveway at 3843. Yeah, and these plans are online. You can go and look at them and figure out where they relay. Yeah, so if you got it.
Anybody can email me and I'll forward it to you.
Yes, you can email the council member or. Yeah. There is a review plan section, but I'll happily show that to you, or you can email your council member or me and we can work that out.
So, I guess I'm a little confused because I wanted to say, you said several times that this was going down, as a solution. They didn't want this at the last meeting. And I'm not seeing any other solution. Is the only solution you're offering?
So what we did at the last meeting, we talked about the ideal solution based on just looking at the quick numbers. That was 11 cushions. We talked about, hey, can we reduce that number down, particularly on the southern end? We were able to reduce that down and get down to 9, use a radar feedback sign. So stop signs are not part of the program. They're not technically a traffic calming measure. They are a safety device for blind cars. So we're not actually able to institute stop signs as part of the measure. So that's a misconception that's pretty common, unfortunately.
So other materials, different speed bump options as well.
Yeah, so we originally talked about tables and things like that, that we could.
The solution is all geared towards speed.
Speed cushions, yes. Speed bumps are a little bit more harsh on your vehicle. Sir?
It's not geared toward police.
Police? No, police is part of the enforcement side. That's not part of the program.
Okay, well, why is it enforcement of our species? Why isn't that part of the?
Because yeah, so that's a great question. The program is from the National Department of Transportation. It's a transportation engineering program. That NDOT does not have control of Metro Nashville Police Department. So that's why. Yeah, so yes, with the design of the streets.
So you don't have any.
Yeah. So we'll move. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to be rude, but I just wanted to make sure that he gets through this, and
Yeah.
there's clearly a lack of information that I did not share with you all on my part. So I know that you need this information prior to you voting. So I will tonight, when I go home, share the recording of the first meeting and also the PDF that came at that first meeting, and also this information as well. So that is an error on my part for not sharing that edit.
You also did their release of option allowed by this program.
So the first meeting went through the options of the program, and we talked about the different ones and what fit and what doesn't with the street configurations. Based on the first meeting and based on what we could do, this is the option that we propose. Taking those into consideration and using engineering best judgment of things that we know make a safer street as far as speeds and if there is an accident, making sure people are able to walk away. So as the council member said, we'll fly through the rest of these slides. If you could please hold your questions until the end. I know we're trying to keep this an hour. I've got about 5 minutes left. So I'll run through it real quick. And then at the end, we'll go back and I'll answer your questions. And if anybody needs to leave, then that can happen. So the next couple sets, 45 feet south of the driveway at 3836 and 150 feet north of 3819. 3836 and then 3819. And then the next one is 75 feet south of 3808. Correct. Yeah. And then we got 50 feet south of 3809. Yeah. Yeah. So 3764 and then 3748 are the last two.
What was that for 3764, I'm sorry.
3748. And then we do have a radar feedback sign. So that's the flashing sign. That'll be at 3732. And then 3712.
37, what was the first one?
32 for the radar feedback sign and 3712.
That's where the flashing signs will show you speed.
Yeah, it's 3732 right at the Stonewater Court. So, and then talking about the width of the road, so we are proposing going 4 across because this is a very wide road. The last thing we want are people driving around and not slowing down. So that's why we're going 4 across at all those locations. And I know people do park on the street. You can park on them. It doesn't affect the cushions. But we just want to make sure we cover, curb to curb so that, you're not trying to dodge, you're not going into people's yards. So we are doing 4 across, and we are proposing 10.5 feet long. So the shorter you get, the more abrupt it is. So we're going with kind of the middle solution, which is great for residential communities, like suburbs, that sort of thing, because it does slow people down, but it's not quite as harsh as going with like a 7-footer. And then we're proposing gaps of about 3 feet. So I know you said you're a motorcycle driver. It's a little, yeah. Yeah, it is a smaller gap. We go up to 4 feet. So it is a little bit narrower. But you can do it. Hopefully you have to at least try to slow down to get through it. And the reason for the gaps, once again, emergency vehicles, they can straddle them a little bit easier because they have a wider wheelbase. And that allows them to get to where they need to go, because the last thing we want to do is make it where an ambulance can't get there in time or something like that. So that's what we've got from a design standpoint. Once again, we are going to move from this into the online ballot where you get to vote yes or no. That is the end of my presentation as far as all the slides go. I'm happy to stay around and answer any questions. I feel like there will be a few.
Can
yes.
you go back to the slide real quick that shows where they all are?
Yeah, so this is kind of the overview slide, so you can get a good picture of where Priest Lake Drive is, running through Mansion Road, where the radar feedback sign is, and where the cushions lay out. Once again, we do have to have a max spacing between the cushions to make sure that they're still working to slow the speeds down. We were able to kind of get near the edge of that because of recommendations from the previous meeting. And happy to answer your questions, sir.
I got a 2-part question. One relates to the speed cushion themselves. Now, when they're being placed, will that dividing line be there? The yellow line, will it separate?
Yeah, so we have different painting or markings that we can have on the cushions. So there are 4 cushions on your location. So it'll be kind of we don't have a 4 cushion similar, but we can go. Yeah.
Well, to give context,
So there you go.
that road currently does not have yellows.
Yeah. So this is the yeah. So this is the location right here. You can see how they lay out with the 2 white edge lines.
Okay.
I do believe they do have existing solid white edge lines. Yeah. So that's how they lay out.
And one last question. We do stay on Priest Lake Drive. We are part of the community. Now, my question is there anything active to make sure that Priest Lake Drive is being spoken for? I know you can't make people be a part of the community, want to be part of the community, but then again, you don't want a minority speaking for the majority.
That is correct. Yeah, no.
Okay, so
district representative,
mhm.
I represent everyone, just not the loudest person in the room. Okay.
Right.
And so when it comes to Priest Lake Drive,
Mhm.
everyone that is on that street, you get a vote, and you have a code that allows you to vote. You can either vote yes or vote no. And so what I'm going to do after this meeting is share the information. I don't remember you in our first meeting.
Exactly. Right.
So I need to, I told ahead of this meeting, I will share with you that first meeting and the options that we dwindled down from for him to decide and his crew to decide that this was the best option. So I will share that information tonight.
Sounds good.
I will also say, once again, as a resident, when my street was up for vote, I had a neighbor come over and actually knock on my door and say, hey, just making sure you aware of this, this is why. And she was for it, so she said, this is why you should vote for it. So feel free to talk to your neighbors, talk to your neighborhood, talk to the residents of Priestlake Drive to get this. We love a high turnout because it shows the community cares. Yes, we'll go around the corner. Yeah. Yes.
Are you going to get smaller bike lanes?
Yeah. So this is the final plan as far as this program is concerned. Yeah. So yes, this is the final plan as far as the program is concerned. We're not changing the striping. We're not adding like a double yellow or anything. It's got 2 existing edge lines, and we're adding the cushions to them and then adding a radar feedback sign. So as far as the striping goes, that's not part of this program.
So NDOT is coming out to do the yellow line. I forget how many feet they go into the street to put the yellow line, but we are owed that double yellow line in the middle of the road. That is going to happen. The bike lanes, what they're going to do is coming out and point the silhouette. We're waiting to see what the result of this traffic calming decision is going to be, and then I'll follow back up with NDOT.
Thank you, Councilmember. So the bike lanes is a separate program in NDOT. So I'm just with the traffic calming program. So that is a great question for the bike program.
Lanes, they put it's double lanes. They put double bike lanes on.
So one side of the street, there's a larger bike lane. Other side of the street, small. So that's what I'm asking. Are you going to be 2 bike lanes?
No, so
1 bike lane.
So the one lane, so one side of the street that has the larger area, that's going to be a double bike lane.
It's called a cycle track.
We will have to talk with our NDOT bike crew about that. But this is just for.
I know, but I don't understand I don't understand. The reason I don't understand it is because why is the 1 bike lane is the size of a car? Other bike lane is a bike lane. It makes no sense.
I'm happy to talk to you.
I agree. And why it has been that way so long without a yellow line? I've gotten calls from people that have been almost killed
The
because they
information that I have,
drive in the middle.
the information I have before, that one side is the bike lane, walk lane, and the other side was for parking. So did that change?
That information, I don't have
That
that
was supposed
information.
to go away with the way of the delineators.
Yeah,
That
that's
was
my
supposed
first
to
time
be-
hearing.
Yeah.
And then everything.
So that's
was-
why I asked, why, I mean, it's kind of ridiculous to have a bike.
Double
and
lane,
the
not
bike
a
lane.
single lane.
Yeah, it makes no sense, either one side or the other.
And then you can't park on the other side.
Okay, all right, so looking it up again, you have the, overall questions.
3819, just where it was in relation to 3819.
150 feet north.
Okay, looking up for questions, yeah, go ahead.
I have 2, like, 4 of those on there, out adjusting the bike wall. See 3 fitting this time, 4th would be even without going in. So let's say the bike lanes are not.
Hmm.
Are you still going to have it where the bike lane?
Correct. And I will say, as a biker, you can go over them on a bicycle. Actually, yeah. So you can do them. They're not a hindrance to bikers, other than they do slow it down. Yeah. Yeah, we're gonna have a little bit of a spillover if there is a bike lane. Like I said, we're making sure the cars can't go around them. So that does mean we'd have to put them in there.
So people like me who just came in the area, how are you going to end up letting us know? Because I know you just now get my email, but here's the thing. You actually look.
Wait, I didn't get your.
No, I'm just saying, it's now a piece of paper that's provided.
I'll invite you to join
So
Priestlake
I want
Park
to let you know.
Peninsula Neighborhood Network,
Okay.
because
I wanna
that's
let
what
you know.
we're doing.
Wait,
in the
so-
community to get
So
that-
just because that's separate, and please, just so we're clear,
I get loud
that's,
when people start going over me when I'm trying to point out something. You don't even know more than me. My mother is the owner of the house.
Yes.
I am the person who has every say. But
yes.
that's our agreement, that she's in that. So you actually send mail to that house, and you look up.
Yes.
But thing I'm trying to figure out is that when it has hers, I give it to her, I don't care.
Yes.
So how I
So the-
specifically know that it's something that affects.
So the voting ballot goes to the property owner.
So
It
in other
would be
words, I tell her,
addressed to the property
do what I'm
owner.
telling you, do what I'm telling you.
Yes,
So,
just as if you were
I'm not
around.
gonna lie, that's what
Okay, so Michelle had a question.
I just have one statement that I would like to ask you.
one
Okay,
second,
in
real quick.
closing. I know when we
Hang
had
on,
the
Michelle,
trust.
One second. I just want to say we've hit an hour, so I'm gonna go ahead and kill the recording.
Yeah.
If anybody has any issue with that, and then I'll gladly stay around and answer any questions like the one you're about to ask. But I just want to say the recording is officially stopped.